So our daughter Ruth is moving this weekend to a different city. And I was at her place helping her pack boxes to get ready for moving day. And as we were loading up her kitchen and other things, I looked at and I thought, my goodness, this girl has had 2 roommates for the last 7 years, and most of the apartment seems to be her things. I don't know what they're going to live on after she's moved out. But it really, we accumulate things as we sit down in one location. My family, as I was growing up, moved about every 4 to 5 years. And one time I remember my father saying, it's really good when you have to move every 4 to 5 years, because then you get rid of all this extra stuff that you really don't need. If this is the case, Grant and I are going to be in trouble, because we've lived in this house for over the last 25 years. And as much as I've tried to stay on top of our stuff and get rid of things that we don't need anymore, we are still going to have a job ahead of us when it comes time to downsize. But in the Bible, it talks about in Hebrews about how we're supposed to get rid of all the stuff that hinders us when we run the race. And Paul is equating the Christian life or the Christian faith to a race. In other words, we have to move. We can't stay still. We have to be ready to go. And Jesus, in the Great Commission, the command was to go into all the world. And so obviously we're not supposed to stay put. We're supposed to be ready and willing to move whenever God tells us to move. Our life is not supposed to be stagnant. But so often there is stuff that is preventing us from going when God says go. And we may need to take a look at our lives and say, okay, what is actually hindering me from being able to move? And in some cases, it may be lies that say, I can't do anything, or I'm not qualified to do that, or my family's never done that before, why should I do it? Or maybe even, did I really hear God say that? Or perhaps maybe we've just gotten a little bit too comfortable with all of our stuff, or in the Mullen terminology, with all of our baggage. And we are just relaxed and content to live with what we've got and not bother dealing with broken perspectives on life or past hurts. And we prefer to live by the refrain, denial works for me. And rather than taking a look at it and saying, okay, what do we need to do about this? But we're not called to be comfortable. God calls us to move with Him whenever He says. And it's a whole lot easier if we aren't dragging all of our stuff along with us whenever we have to move. And so perhaps you need to take a minute today and ask God, what is hindering you from moving when He calls us to? What's holding you back? What's tangling around your ankles or dragging you back from making any changes? And then ask Him, how are you supposed to deal with it? Are you supposed to forgive or repent or hand over or whatever it is God's calling you to do? Today would be a good day to do it and leave some of that stuff behind so that you can move on moving day when God says, now's the time to go. We would love to hear from you. If you have any comments to tell us about how you are dealing with your stuff so you're ready to go for moving day, and we'll talk to you again next week.